Just breaking moments ago, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in Hawaii proclaiming President Trump's travel ban a violation of federal law, ruling the ban goes beyond his authority as commander-in-chief. However, the appeals court stopped short of blocking that order, instead issuing a stay pending a ruling by the Supreme Court. We're going to keep you posted on any late-breaking details.
Should the North Korean regime conduct another nuclear or ballistic missile test, this resolution commits the Security Council to take even further action. It sends the unambiguous message to Pyongyang that further defiance will invite further punishment and isolation.
That was U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley earlier today after the UN Security Council unanimously voted to impose new sanctions on North Korea in response to the rogue regime's recent ICBM launch. That missile is said to be capable of hitting anywhere in the U.S. Aaron Cohen is a 21-year Israeli-trained security and counterterror veteran and the founder of Aaron Cohen's Soft Target Security Training Systems. So thank you so much for joining us. You know, this is just 24 hours after the UN was down a completely different road, condemning the U.S. Today, stood together all 15 members and imposed these new sanctions, including China and Russia. How significant is that?
Well, it's really significant, and it's also ironic how the UN, as soon as their organization is threatened in any way by Pyongyang, like we're seeing here, they flip the script very quickly. But that's neither here nor there. This is very significant. The reason why is because North Korea is attempting, and in fact getting closer to being able to launch a ballistic missile, which can in fact hit our country. That's a very real thing, and so. The president, along with his National Security Council, laid out a security plan that does what you have to do with terrorists. And why do I call this guy a terrorist? Because a terrorist will fire at civilians unprovoked. That's what they do. Yeah. So how do you deal with them? You got to go for the neck. You got to bite down, and you got to make sure that they can't move and that they can't get access to their funding. And so the attack of the finances and by restricting funding to North Korea through very hard sanctions is exactly the security play that's required. So salute to Donald Trump. And I salute the woman who's at the UN making that announcement also. I think she's fabulous, and I think she's no nonsense. Yeah. And I love hearing her put it to the UN. It's absolutely my favorite thing I've been listening to in the last couple of days.
You know, not quite as far as President Trump wanted to go. He wanted to cut off all oil imports. This very dramatically limits them far below where they are right now, where they only had been reduced by about 30%. At this point now, they're almost gone. But he also wanted to have all foreign workers sent back to North Korea from everywhere else that they're working, which generates so much cash for the nation.
That's right. That's right. And by essentially what he's doing is he's creating choke points to the labor. And what that does is it essentially puts everybody on watch, which is, look, if you're going to export something to North Korea, if you're going to export goods there, if you're going to work and bring any kind of expertise back there, whether, you know, as well as the oil, we're going to constrict, even though it's only 30%, like you mentioned, still billion or millions of barrels per day. And so, again, you deal with terrorism. Again, I'm coming from the Israeli perspective here. My unit never went after the low-level terrorists. We went after the management of the guys, the financiers, the money guys. No money, no terror. No millions of barrels exported here. No labor being able to carry out North Korea business. Again, by constricting or putting choke points, you are softening that terrorist.
I don't want to run out of time.
Trump.
I'm glad you brought up terrorism because that is your expertise, and I want to run out of time without asking you about this plot that was uncovered in San Francisco. It was stopped in time. You know, the assailant was posting things on the internet pro-ISIS, but also, you know, was a shooting specialist. He had a lot of training and a very specific plan. How dangerous was this?
Well, he's a former Marine. Marines are dangerous. Marines are trained to kill people for a living. That's why we go to war with them. We train alongside the Marine Corps at our counterterrorist school in Expert. At our counterterror warfare school in Israel. They're extremely lethal, and that's what they're trained to be. They're just like Defense Secretary Mattis. You know, he has a plan when he walks in a room to kill everybody, and that's how well Marines are trained. And you want them in war. They're fine instruments of counterterrorism and urban operations. But in this case, you had a radicalized, again, online, an inbred or an inbreed terrorist that was created here through indoctrination. I don't know exactly what it was, but extremely dangerous guy. Hats off to the FBI for getting the jump on this guy and being able to put him down and getting those warrants in time. We just want to make sure now that our soft target defensive security measures are in place. And I think going into the new year, coming out of this holiday, I wouldn't be surprised if the president is looking at putting together some type of soft target security apparatus to be able to look at this thing.
Aaron Cohen, thank you.